I found out about my mother-in-law's passing and tried to call my husband, Ethan. However, he didn't pick up for a while, and when he finally answered, he shouted at me right away.
What is it? Why do you keep calling over and over again?
With a tearful voice, I spoke. Honey, calm down and listen. Actually,
Shut up. I don't want to hear anything you have to say.
what? I was stunned, and Ethan kept yelling at me.
I'm in a meeting right now. Don't ever call me again, you clueless piece of trash.
In that moment, I snapped. How dare he lie so brazenly? I know the truth. All right, if that's how you want it, I'll stay silent about the funeral and the will. I smiled and said this before hanging up. Okay. After that, I went ahead with the funeral arrangements without my husband. At the end of the memorial service, 2 days later, Ethan showed up at our home wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
What?
From this point on, my awful husband would lose everything. My name is Michelle Turner. I'm 42 years old. I'm a freelance illustrator working from home while also taking care of household duties. I graduated from art school 20 years ago and got a job at an advertising agency. Since then, I've been involved in ad design and illustration work. Because I was shy and quiet, I struggled to find a boyfriend. Maybe because of that, a senior colleague who I was close with decided to introduce me to someone. He was a college friend of hers and showed up on the promised day looking sharp.
Nice to meet you. I'm Ethan Turner. Are you Michelle?
He was dressed in the trendiest fashion at the time and looked very polished. Ethan tried to ease my nerves by talking about himself.
My parents run a business. Since I'm the oldest son, I'm training at my parents' company so I can take over one day. What do you think? You might regret it if you let a promising guy like me slip away.
Ethan's playful way of talking gradually made me feel comfortable. That day became the start of us growing closer and eventually dating. Even during our relationship, Ethan took the lead and was so confident and manly. It was one of the things I loved about him. After about a year of dating, Ethan proposed to me.
Michelle, let's get married. I promise I'll cherish you forever.
With tears in my eyes, I held out my hand as Ethan slipped the ring on my finger. Ethan, thank you. Of course I accept. Ethan smiled happily. At that moment, I felt like I was on top of the world.
Michelle, you did it. You're going to be the CEO's wife.
Oh, I'm not marrying you just because you're the next CEO, you know?
I know. Well, let's make it official. First, we've got to visit both of our families.
And so, we made plans to visit our families. My parents were thrilled about my marriage, and next, we were off to meet Ethan's family. I already knew that Ethan's father had passed away a few years ago, and that his mother, who ran the company, and his younger brother lived together. When we arrived at Ethan's family home, I was stunned because it was a grand European-style house in an upscale residential neighborhood. Feeling nervous, I stepped inside, where a lively-looking middle-aged woman with short hair and a young, muscular man in a suit were waiting.
Nice to meet you. I'm Grace, Ethan's mom. You must be Michelle. I've heard so much about you and couldn't wait to meet you.
Grace stood up and greeted me with a warm smile.
I'm Tony, the younger brother. Like Ethan, I work at our mother's company.
Tony also smiled kindly. Feeling the friendly atmosphere, I began to relax. After introducing myself and sharing our intent to get married, both Grace and Tony gave their blessing. Ethan, beaming with joy, spoke up.
Wow, I'm finally getting married. Hey Tony, you better find someone soon too.
Tony gave a troubled smile.
Yeah, if I meet the right person, maybe.
Grace chimed in.
Well, there's no need to rush, Tony. Take your time. So, where are you two planning to live?
I was about to say, we haven't decided yet, when Ethan casually announced.
We'll live here, of course.
What? I couldn't help but let out a surprised sound. We had never discussed this beforehand.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? I already live here and you can just move in. I'm the eldest son. It's normal to live with my mom.
Grace looked slightly bewildered and asked,
Did you decide that on your own? Did you even talk to Michelle about it?
There's no need, right, Michelle? It's fine, right?
Ethan seemed to think living with his mom was a given. I felt conflicted, but I couldn't bring myself to say, I prefer living separately, in front of his family. Yes, if it's not too much trouble, I'd be happy to live here. Grace's eyes widened.
Really? Tony has already moved out, and it's just been me and Ethan. Honestly, I've been a little lonely. You're not a bother at all. I'd be so happy if you moved in, Michelle.
And so, it was almost by default that I ended up living with Grace at my in-laws' house. The saving grace was that Grace had a laid-back and kind personality. I thought I might be able to get along well with her. After that, Ethan and I officially registered our marriage. At Tony's suggestion, we held a big wedding and started our new life at the in-laws' house. By the way, I quit my job due to the long commute from my in-laws' house. From then on, I stayed home full-time. Shortly after we moved in, during dinner, Ethan declared,
Michelle's going to be a housewife, so we can let our housekeeper go, right?
apparently, Grace had hired a housekeeper to help out because she was always busy with work.
But this house is huge. It's too much for Michelle to handle alone, don't you think? I believe we should keep the housekeeper.
Grace said, looking at me. But Ethan shook his head.
No way, Mom. Don't spoil Michelle. She's a housewife now, so she should take care of everything herself.
Grace, I'm fine. Ethan's right. I believe it's only natural for a housewife to handle the chores.
I see. But if it gets too hard, you need to tell me, all right?
I was grateful for Grace's kindness. From then on, I did my best with the housework. As Grace had mentioned, the house was massive, and cleaning was a daunting task. However, I made sure to cook and do the laundry properly so that Grace and Ethan wouldn't be disappointed after coming home from work tired. Grace would express her gratitude to me every day, and I was always happy to hear it. Looking back, I never heard any words of appreciation from Ethan, but at the time, I didn't really mind. 1 year after our marriage, I found out I was pregnant. When I told Ethan the news, he said,
Well done, Michelle. Make sure you have a boy to carry on the family name.
"Wait, we don't know that yet."
No, I'm telling you, it has to be a boy. You're having a boy.
I was bewildered by how elated Ethan was on his own, but when I told Grace about my pregnancy, she was genuinely overjoyed and showed great care for me. A while later, I started experiencing severe morning sickness. It was so bad that I couldn't even swallow food.
You should rest.
Worried, Grace insisted and rehired the housekeeper. One day, Grace left for a business trip, and it was just Ethan and me at home for the first time in a while. When I served the food the housekeeper had prepared, Ethan frowned.
Hey, why does this taste different from usual?
I can't stand the smell of cooking because of my morning sickness. Grace knew that, and asked the housekeeper to help out. Today's meal was made by her. When I explained, Ethan let out a sigh.
Hey, don't you think you're taking advantage of this? Just because my mom's nice doesn't mean you can slack off as a housewife.
I tried, but I really couldn't do it. I feel bad about it, but Grace thought this was the best solution.
That's exactly what I mean by taking it easy. Listen, pregnancy isn't an illness. Stop wasting my mom's money and take care of the house properly.
I'm sorry. Feeling intimidated, I had no choice but to answer that way. When Grace returned from her business trip, I told her we no longer needed a housekeeper. Grace was concerned, but since Ethan had said that, I couldn't allow myself to lean on her any further. Eventually, my morning sickness eased, and my belly grew bigger. Ethan never accompanied me to my checkups as a husband should, but he occasionally asks.
Are you doing all the chores yourself?
Handling housework with a big belly was tough, but I kept moving until I went into labor to avoid upsetting him. Eventually, I gave birth. It was a beautiful baby boy, and Ethan named him Noah.
Oh my, what a cute baby. Ethan, make sure you help with raising him too, all right?
Grace said as she held Noah, her eyes soft with affection.
Yeah, I got it.
Ethan responded, but he rarely helped with childcare. Sometimes, he would pick Noah up when he felt like it, but when it came to changing diapers or making bottles, he always passed the task to me. With my exhausted, postpartum body, I had to care for Noah all by myself. But that wasn't the worst of it. Whenever Noah cried at night, Ethan would click his tongue in irritation.
So loud. I have work tomorrow, you know. I can't sleep like this. Make him stop crying.
You can't help it. He's still so small.
This is impossible. You and the baby should sleep in a different room from now on. I need my rest.
And just like that, Ethan kicked us out of the bedroom. I had no choice but to set up a mattress in another room to sleep. Grace noticed and asked me why. When I told her the truth, Grace bought a new bed for me and Noah, and we started living in a different room from Ethan. With separate bedrooms, our conversations as a couple dwindled. While I was busy juggling childcare, Ethan would either work or relax at home. I resented him for it, but I was happy that Noah was growing up healthy, and Grace always checked in on me despite her busy schedule, which kept me going. Time passed, and Noah turned 15 and was in his last year of middle school. Grace was still active as the company president. Ethan had been promoted to sales manager and was working alongside Tony to support Grace. As for me, since Noah had become more independent, I asked Ethan and started doing freelance work from home during my free time. It had been a while since I'd drawn, but I started getting requests and found a sense of purpose in it. As for our relationship as a couple, it had completely gone cold. Recently, Ethan had been using excuses like business trips and overtime to stay away from home. We spoke even less, and when we did, it was usually about Noah. Even though we were married, it felt like we were strangers, and it made me feel lonely. But after 16 years of marriage, I began to think that maybe that's just how it was. One day, during dinner, Noah spoke happily.
For my last school sports day, I'm going to be the cheer captain. I really want the whole family to come and see, even Dad.
Ethan wasn't home because of overtime, but Grace and I smiled and nodded excitedly. When Ethan came home late that night, I told him, and he said he'd come to watch. But on the day of the sports event, Ethan didn't show up at the agreed time.
What is he doing?
Grace tried calling him, but he didn't answer. Eventually, I got a text message from Ethan.
An urgent work matter came up today, so I can't make it.
That's what the message said. Grace had also admitted that she left all sales-related matters to Ethan and didn't know the details of his work. With no other choice, Grace and I decided to support Noah together. Noah performed wonderfully as the cheer captain. During lunch, Noah looked disappointed that Ethan didn't show up, but he seemed to understand.
If it's for work, it can't be helped.
But I was furious that Ethan chose work over our son during such an important moment. Everything changed that night. Noah had gone out to celebrate with his friends and their parents after the event. When I picked him up at the agreed time, his face looked pale. "What's wrong? Did something happen?" When I asked, Noah told me.
Mom, I saw Dad. He was walking downtown with a young woman, arm in arm.
"Really?" Noah explained that he had seen Ethan with a woman right before the celebration started. He looked genuinely shaken. It was at that moment that I first suspected Ethan of having an affair. Of all things, my son had to be the one to witness it. How disgraceful. "Don't tell your dad or Grandma Grace, okay?" I instructed Noah to keep quiet and hired a private investigator the very next day to look into Ethan. A month later, I received the results. It was undeniable. The photos showed a young woman, probably in her mid-20s, and included images of them entering and exiting a hotel together. I learned the woman's face and name. It was enough evidence to prove the affair. Further details about their relationship and the woman's profile required additional fees, so I ended the investigation there. Even with the proof in front of me, I couldn't immediately decide to file for divorce. My feelings for Ethan had already faded, but I wasn't earning much, and I couldn't imagine leaving with Noah when education expenses were only going to increase. Besides, there was Grace. She had always been good to me, and I worried that a divorce would devastate her. I hid the investigation report at the back of my closet and tried to return to daily life. But then, tragedy struck. Grace collapsed at office. The diagnosis was a brain hemorrhage. It was life-threatening at first, but she managed to survive and was hospitalized. I visited Grace at the hospital regularly, but Ethan never came. I understood that the company was in chaos without her, but seeing Tony visit often while Ethan stayed away felt cold-hearted. Grace was left partially paralyzed and had difficulty speaking. Even though direct communication was hard, we managed to stay connected by using a tablet. 2 months after Grace was hospitalized, Ethan told me,
I've got an important meeting tomorrow, and after that, I'll be on a business trip. I won't be back for 3 days.
"All right, but make sure you visit Grace sometimes, okay?"
Yeah,
As usual, Ethan said that and locked himself in his bedroom. The next afternoon, I was doing housework when my phone rang. The caller was Tony, who rarely called me. A bad feeling washed over me as I answered, and Tony spoke.
Michelle, I just got a call from the hospital. Mom passed away.
I dropped my phone.
I guess I'll have to try harder in rehab soon.
Grace had been cheerful and said that just yesterday. But the brain hemorrhage recurred, and she passed away without ever regaining consciousness. I was so shocked that I burst into tears.
Are you feeling okay, Michelle?
"Oh, me? I'm fine."
Oh, Ethan told the company that he was taking time off because you weren't feeling well. I assumed he was with you since I can't reach him.
No, he told me he had an important meeting today and then a business trip. Something wasn't adding up. According to Tony, who works at the same company, there was no meeting or business trip scheduled.
Ethan should be the one leading her funeral, and Mom left her will stating, "Read this after the funeral." I'd like to confirm that as well.
I hung up the phone stunned. Just then, Noah, who was home for summer break, showed me something. When I saw it, I was just as shocked as when I learned about Grace's passing. But first, I had to let Ethan know about Grace's death. However, no matter how many times I called, he didn't pick up. After calling repeatedly, he finally answered 20 minutes later.
What is it? Why do you keep calling over and over again?
With a trembling voice, I said, "Calm down and listen to me. Actually."
Shut up. I don't want to hear anything you have to say.
"What?" I was stunned as Ethan continued to rant.
I'm in a meeting. Don't ever call me again, you clueless, annoying wife.
At that moment, something inside me snapped. How could he lie so blatantly? I already know the truth. Fine. If that's how it is, I'll keep quiet about the funeral and the will. Okay. I smiled and hung up the phone. Afterward, I told Tony everything. Tony tried calling Ethan again in a panic, but his phone was turned off. In the end, Tony became the funeral host, and I helped him with the preparations. There was so much to do, contacting the funeral home and the church, notifying relatives and employees from Grace's company, and more. A large number of mourners came, showing just how beloved Grace was. Among them, some relatives began noticing that Ethan wasn't there. Whenever I was asked, I honestly told them I could not reach him. They didn't seem satisfied with that answer.
It's what Mom wanted.
Tony revealed Grace's will in front of the close family members. Everyone was shocked by its contents. The next day, that day was Grace's memorial service. Tony and the relatives tried calling Ethan multiple times, but his phone was still off. The family-only memorial, just as Grace had wished, proceeded solemnly. During the flower-laying ceremony, I looked at Grace's face and couldn't hold back my tears.
Grandma, thank you.
Noah, standing beside me, whispered and cried as well. Tony wiped his eyes, and all the relatives were shedding tears too. Just as the lid over Grace's face was about to close, a loud, out-of-place voice echoed from behind.
What's going on?
When I turned around, there stood Ethan in a Hawaiian shirt. He was carrying a large suitcase, looking exactly like someone returning from a fun vacation. Completely inappropriate for a funeral. Tony, Noah, myself, and the entire family glared at Ethan. Ethan scanned the room, looking at us in our mourning clothes, then at Grace's portrait and her coffin. He seemed to finally grasp the situation.
Wait, no way, Mom?
Ethan dropped his suitcase and rushed to the coffin to check Grace's face, shouting,
Mom! No, how could this happen while I wasn't here? What's going on? Why did you all have the funeral without me? This doesn't make any sense.
As everyone stayed silent, Ethan stormed up to me, his eyes wild as he grabbed my shoulders.
Say something. You're my wife, aren't you? Why didn't you tell me?
I tried. Don't you remember?
What?
2 days ago in the afternoon, when I called you, you told me, "I'm in a meeting. Don't ever call me again," without even listening to me. Ethan held his face and began trembling.
Even so, you shouldn't have kept something this important from me. There are things you just don't do.
Ethan, we tried contacting you multiple times too, but you turned off your phone. The service is already over. It's too late now.
Ethan stood frozen, looking bewildered.
No way. I'm Mom's eldest son and the future president of the company. How could I have missed her funeral? This has to be redone.
Ethan's absurd statement made everyone glare at him even more. At that moment, Grace's brother, Uncle Bill, spoke up.
So, where exactly were you these past 3 days?
Well, I told you it was for work, a business trip.
We checked with the company. There was no meeting on the day Mom passed, and you took paid leave for the next 2 days. Stop lying.
Tell us the truth.
Tony's words caused the room to stir. As Ethan's face grew more anxious, I stepped forward and spoke. You were at a resort vacation with your young mistress, weren't you?
What?
Ethan's eyes widened, and he quickly tried to deny it.
What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. Don't make things up.
Maybe you tried to keep it a secret, but your mistress didn't. She posted everything for the world to see. I shoved my phone screen in Ethan's face. On the screen was a social media post. A photo of Ethan's back as he relaxed at what looked like a resort hotel.
What the hell is this? She posted something like this.
So you admit it, that it was a cheating trip. When I said that, Ethan was at a loss for words. Unbelievable. You lied to the company, went on a romantic getaway while Grace passed away.
How do you even know about her social media? Did you investigate?
Just then, another voice spoke up.
I found out.
Ethan's eyes widened as Noah spoke.
I saw the private investigator's report Mom got. That's how I learned her face and name. The woman's name is Zoe, right? Mom didn't realize it at first, but I tracked her down on social media and kept an eye on her.
Yes, right after Grace's passing, when Ethan was nowhere to be found, Noah had shown me Zoe's social media. That's how I learned the truth. She had posted all about their trip. Ethan hadn't expected even his son to know and turned beet red. But then, he said something outrageous.
Yeah, so what if I cheated? Of course, I'd prefer a young and cute Zoe over some boring old wife. We're even planning to get married.
Then Ethan turned to me and sneered.
So yeah, you're done here. Sign the divorce papers and take that annoying kid with you.
At that moment, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Noah and I exchanged glances and started chuckling.
What are you laughing at? Stop it.
Dad, do you know what Zoe calls you on social media?
She always calls me Ethan Bear.
I started laughing again as Ethan glared at me. No, she calls you old man number 2.
What? Old man?
Noah explained further.
It's what girls who date older men for money call their targets, old men. Apparently, she has up to old man number 5.
Zoe was after my money? No way.
Shall I read her post from the day you went on that trip? Starting a trip with old man number 2 today. It's such a drag, but he's giving me $5,000, so I'll play along. Meow. If that's not a gold digger, what is?
Ethan snatched the phone from Noah and frantically scrolled through Zoe's posts. His face grew paler with each one he read.
No way. She said she was struggling to pay off student loans, so I helped her. Did she never love me?
What else could it be? Thinking that was love. It's hilarious. Noah and I started laughing again, and Ethan began shaking in anger.
Stop laughing. Enough, both of you.
The one who needs to stop is you, Ethan.
It was Tony who spoke.
You got scammed by a younger woman, skipped mom's funeral to have an affair, and even insulted Michelle and Noah. Seriously, enough is enough.
Damn it.
Ethan was at a loss for words, but he eventually sneered at Tony.
Hey, do you really think you can talk to me like that?
What do you mean?
Mom's gone, so I'm the company president now. I'm the boss. I can fire you whenever I want.
This time, one of the relatives burst out laughing. I couldn't hold back my own laughter either. Seeing everyone laugh, Ethan's eyes widened.
What the hell are you all laughing at?
Tony, who had been holding his forehead in disbelief, spoke.
Ethan, this is mom's will. Take a good look at it.
Ethan stared at the stack of papers handed to him, shocked.
What is this? The position of company president will be passed to Tony?
Yes, Grace's will stated that the company would be handed over to Tony, not Ethan.
Ethan, you've been scheduling fake business trips and client meetings to sneak off and see your mistress. On top of that, it's been found that you were using company money for personal expenses. Mom had you investigated before she passed.
Mom was investigating me? She knew about the mistress?
Yeah, I was the one who told Grandma.
Ethan's face twisted in shock as Noah continued.
Mom was going to keep it a secret from her, but I couldn't stand it. I told Grandma while she was in the hospital. She was furious. That's probably why she had you investigated.
I only found out about this yesterday.
No, that can't be true. Why would I have to give up the company to Tony?
It's Mom's decision. Before she passed, she informed the board of directors and shareholders that she wanted the second son to be her successor if anything happened to her. They're likely to support it, so I'm the president now.
Ethan glared at Tony, breathing heavily.
Ethan, I'm going to kick you out of the company. You'd better be ready.
Ethan clenched his teeth, trembling, but then suddenly his face lit up.
Fine, forget the company. I still have a right to this house and Mom's inheritance. With that money, I can rebuild my life.
Read the rest of the will.
Tony sighed and gestured for Ethan to continue reading. Ethan flipped the page, his face turning pale.
The eldest son, Ethan, is disinherited. What the hell is this?
I raised my voice. You stole the bank card from Grace's hospital room and spent her money, didn't you? Probably to shower that woman with gifts.
What?
And when you thought Grace was asleep, you muttered, I wish Mom'd hurry up and die, didn't you? She wrote that down in her journal. How could you say something so cruel?
No, Mom knew?
Tony spoke, his voice filled with anger.
Mom couldn't speak, but her mind was clear. She knew you stole her money and caused her emotional pain. That's why she made sure you wouldn't inherit anything.
That's impossible.
It's entirely possible. If the court approves it, you won't even get the minimum inheritance you're entitled to.
No way. You're telling me I get nothing, not the company, not the money, not the property?
Ethan began to panic as everyone stared at him coldly. Finally, Ethan grabbed Tony by his collar.
Are you planning to keep Mom's entire inheritance for yourself? I won't let you.
That's not true, Ethan. I'm only taking half of the inheritance. The part you were supposed to get will be passed on through a substitute heir.
Substitute heir?
Ethan looked confused, so I spoke up. Grace disinherited you alone. That means your son Noah has the right to inherit.
Really?
Grace also made it clear in her will. What was meant to be inherited by Ethan will be passed to my grandson Noah. His mother, Michelle, will manage it. Ethan seemed confused at first, but then realization dawned on him.
Wait, so Noah's getting mom's inheritance? Oh, that's fine then. I'm his father after all. You're just a kid, Noah, so I'll manage the inheritance for you. That's basically the same as me getting it, right?
With a forced smile, Ethan rubbed his hands together as he approached us.
Stay back, old man.
What?
Noah shooed Ethan away with a dismissive gesture, making him freeze in place. Noah looked at me and nodded, and I nodded back. Ethan, I'm divorcing you.
Wait.
Did you forget what you said? You told me to take the kid and leave, remember? So I'll do exactly that. Noah chimed in.
Of course I'm going with Mom. I don't consider you my dad anymore.
You two are abandoning me and running off with mom's inheritance.
Ethan shouted, but I responded firmly. I will never forgive you. I'll demand full alimony and child support, so get ready for it. Don't ever try to contact us again, you scumbag. Ethan's eyes widened as he collapsed to his knees, mumbling to himself. Some relatives dragged him out of the room. Afterward, my divorce from Ethan was finalized. I demanded $30,000 in alimony for the affair and full child support for Noah. Ethan claimed he couldn't pay it. He had spent most of his savings on his mistress. But when I made it clear that I was ready to take the case to court, he panicked and borrowed money to make the payment. By the way, Zoe, his mistress, was sued for fraud by her other old men and ended up getting arrested. She's now behind bars, and I'm planning to file for damages against her too. Tony kept his word and fired Ethan from the company. The board of directors unanimously approved his dismissal. Apparently, Ethan had been a tyrannical boss, and the employees were relieved when he was gone. Grace's company is now run by Tony, and the business is doing well. Having lost his job, money, mistress, and family, Ethan moved to a distant town, where he now works in a factory to pay off his debts. I couldn't feel any sympathy for him. As for me, I used part of the inheritance Noah received to move out of the family house. Noah was accepted into an excellent high school, and I now live with my high schooler son.
Grandma said to let Mom manage the inheritance.
Noah told me that, so I'm the one handling the funds. Thanks to that, we're living comfortably. I plan to keep working hard and using Grace's inheritance responsibly. From now on, I want to walk forward, supporting each other with my son, who truly values me, and live a fulfilling life.